participants. So it may be good evening or good morning for maybe other regions. So it's my pleasure to welcome all you for this session. So in this session, we are going to see all the basics of PSCAD. So most probably the people are is this is the first time that you could be exposed to PSCAD. So before moving on, so so I want to ensure that whether all your systems have got PSCAD installed. So you can acknowledge by putting thumbs up. So waiting for your responses. Hope you all have got the PSCAD installed in your system. So not yet. So Ayush, you can reach out to the number which have been shared earlier in the. So I will reshare the number. You can contact that person and get PSCAD installed. So yeah, good to go, Sanjay. So you have installed the free version. That's fine. 5.0.2. Wow, Gaurav, super. So yeah. So I would also like to know whether you have previously worked on some and power system softwares like ETAP, Dixel, and Sime, MI Power. So some software for some simulate power system simulation softwares like that. So Gaurav PSSE. Wow, super. So any others? Those who have previously worked on some power system softwares. Oh, ETAP. Okay, super. So I'm waiting for more responses. So for all others, this is the first time you are into the power system simulation softwares. Oh, good. Excellent. Anisha, super. So in this session, so we would be covering of creation of new case files and PSCAD files and how to organize through the workspace. And we would be seeing the components and the master libraries and the predefined models which are in PSCAD. So, and we will look into that. So important options like build and run option, usage of snapshot file, and duration of runs, and we would be concluding this session with the modeling of simple components and getting the outputs and or tracking the outputs signals using graphs and array tab using that, and we would be also seeing transmission lines and cables, how to get into your PSCAD workspace. So let's jump into the software. So hope I'm loud and clear. So let me share my screen. So hope my screen is shared. So you can acknowledge by putting thumbs up or yes in chat. So yeah, good to go. So first of all, we would start with the creation of a new PSCAD file. So more or less, like other softwares, if you have worked on Word, creation of new cases is as simple as that. So here you have the here you have the option to create a new case file, a new workspace, and new library file. So if you are going to develop your own model and predefined stuffs like that, you can go for new library. And normal for normal simulations purpose, you would be going for new case files. So where you would be working on with the components and stuff like that. There we would go for a new case. And workspace is nothing but you can, in that particular workspace, you can have n number of new case files and library files within that. So that's some it's a way of organizing the stuff like that. In that particular workspace, you can keep that case files regarding your project, regarding a single project or a single dimension. Okay. So as usual, the path name should be mentioned here. So now I am creating a new case file and selecting this folder, and so I'm just keeping the name as it is, new case. So before creating the cases, we would look up the options here. So here is a help option, and print option is for printing your system or a model. With this option, you can print your model. Or here, so the most important part is the applications. So here you can generally specify. Here you can specify which compiler which you have to run. There are five. If you have got a if you got PSCAD installed, you would be having three compilers: G Fortran 4.6.2 and 8.1 and 8.1 64-bit. So these three are commonly available. If you have installed PSCAD, these are the common compilers which will be available for you. And Intel compilers you have to install separately. That will be used for Git compliance or some stuffs like that. So ensure that these three compilers have been showing in your PSCAD. So, and workspace, these are some options you could work on here. So while you are opening, these are some basic stuffs like that. So we would go into the case creations, and here you can, there are more. Here you can open the previous files you have saved on, and here are the example files which are previously available in the when you install the PSCAD software system. They provide a quite number of example files. Here you can see power electronics, PM machines, and power quality cases, and parallel multiple runs. So there are some example cases that which you can work on. So let me create a new case here. So ensure that your working space your working space is enlarged, so so that you could work fluently. So here is your workspace. Either you can pin this or so here the new case is created, and here there will be a master library. So I will come to that. So so master library would be created defaultly with when you create a case file or a new workspace. If you create a new case or new workspace, the master library would be defaultly created. So here I would recommend not to make any changes in this master library. So you can get the components, copy it to your new case files or case files, and then you can make the changes. Here I would recommend not to change anything, any components or any details specified here. So so here you can find the more all the components that you which you can use for using the the case files. You can find it here in the master library. Here, for example, we would like to go with the sources. So So here you can see the sources, and there are more source models available in for PSCAD. So here are the ideal voltage sources. So these are the ideal voltage Thevenin's equivalent voltage sources available here, and there are various parameters which you can control for the sources. If you could take the source, here voltage, frequency, and phase angle can be controlled. So if you could consider source model 3, you can control only the voltage and phase angles. So depending upon your, so there are n number, and not only the voltage sources, there are also current sources available here. You would be using these components while you are injecting harmonics, which you could see later through along the courses. So here you it's a new case created. So we can see the default options. So mainly these are the basic options. So you can increase the size of this working environment or IDE, which you can say. So and saying, so let me open the chat box. My version has many icons to so able to. So Sri, you have got your PSCAD installed. Is it licensed or unlicensed? I hope so. So G-Fortran is the default compiler which will be available when you install the PSCAD. Intel compiler you should be installed separately. Uh, that would not be defaultly installed. So if you are using 5.0.2, then you have to be licensed. So if you are using unlicensed version, many options will not be available for you. Mine is also 5.0.2, and I have a licensed version. So we can again go back to PSCAD. So here you can see a build option, which would, if you are simulating a case before the simulation of a case, if you could, this build option will not execute the task, but it will compile all the informations you have used in the case files, and it will show any error or mismatch is there. So build option is used for that, and run option is used for the execution of the task, as you know, and stop option, and this skip run and the next step, which you will be using while you are using multi-run component. So you would be aware that you would be using in this upcoming classes. If you are using multi-run component, you would be using that skip run and next step options available here. And the basic options like zoom extent will zoom out the workspace, and other such options, and pan and select options. So let me move on to the project. So here you can see duration of runs, simulation time step, and channel plot step. So duration of runs you mostly know for how many seconds I have to run this simulations, that you can that you can provide it here, and solution step is for the execution of the run. So for example, I have solution step must be entered in microseconds. So if I'm giving 50 microseconds, I'm going to uh, execute the task every 50 microseconds until you reach for the entire set of duration of runs. So it'd be for that solution step is used. So if you're using frequency dependent models, you cannot go for 50 microseconds. You would be coming a little for lower solution time steps so that the simulation will run properly. And the channel plot step is nothing but for the outputs like graphs. So it will be plotting within 250 microseconds. So this is not majorly this is not majorly important. So but solution step is important when you are working on some frequency dependent models. So here we will be getting the with the solution step, you will be getting for each and every 50 microseconds, you will be getting that solution and will be plotted for every 250 seconds, microseconds in the graph. So for that, channel plot step is used. And this is for snapshot usage. This you will be using while when you are going for multi-run. Again, you would be using that in if you are using multi-run component or multi-run block. So multi-run is basic. So which you can cover later. And if you could not see any options here, only the workspace. So straight away you can go to pans and select bookmarks or whatever options you want to view. You can select it here. Here my workspace is disabled, so it's not visible. So I can select whatever I want. So the script output window and component wizards. This is the use of paints and orientation of this uh, workspace can also be changed. Working area can be changed and the size of it. So this is the basic. So let me go into the components folder. So here you can see all the basic components. So yeah, you can post your queries, questions if you have any doubt what you have discussed before. So I'm waiting for some questions. So Gaurav, you can reach out to we will post the number after the session ends. We will post the number in the GCS group itself. You can contact that person and you can get your software installed. So they will provide you, I think so 5.0.0, they will provide you. You can install that and use that. So how do we get a licensed version? Licensed version, I think so costly, Mr. Sanjay. So that that goes in some lakhs, 10 lakhs and stuff. You can acquire if you would need, you can acquire a trial version also. That's free, I think so. That's from the PSCAD website itself. So again, we can jump into the software. So we would now start modeling of. We would take the basic model. So what is spin component, X node component? So good. So generally, this for pinning of this workspace, if you could see, if you pin, it would be there for until you release the pin. That's for the pin option. And X is to close that window. And again, if you want to open that, again you have to go to view and for the panes option and have to enable that. This is the usage of that option. So any other doubts? So how to get a PSCAD manual? So that in future we would update you, Danish, Dhananjaya. Yeah. So yeah, I will explain these components. Yeah. So any other questions? So you can post all your doubts here. So how to determine 50 microseconds? So that you would be seeing a little later. Just to give an insight, the type of study which you are doing, I can say, if you are do lightning studies, your time step will be much reduced. So if you want to capture that impact of the lightning, you would be going for a little lower, less micro, even more 0.00 something microseconds for to accurately capture that lightning impact of the lightning. For energization or all other studies, you would be generally going for 50 microseconds. Or and if you are including frequency dependent model of cable or transmission line, PSCAD itself would recommend you to go below this time step for accurate capturing of the results. So that depends on your studies. You can determine the solution time step. I hope you are clear, Stalin. So if you have got that correct, oh yeah, thank you. So I would explain these components. Yeah, get my task done. So this is basically the three-phase to single-phase converter. Oh, we would see along this session. So first, I would start with the modeling of a basic voltage source or ideal voltage source, and we will be seeing how to extract the results using the multimeter, which will be reading the uh, current and the voltage as well as the power. we would see that. And wire mode and fault components breakers and stuffs we will see now. So these are the things that are related to output channels, and here are the signals, radio lights are output signals. So let me go into the master library and take out an ideal source. So, so I'm going to source, and there are other way of accessing the master library though. Here you can see the models option, and here you can get all those things. So this is basically the master library, but it would not be for visual representation. There would be only the names of these components. You have to see. So here the visual representation also comes. So these are another way of picking components to your case files. So I, generally we would be copy pasting these components to our case file. There is nothing more than there's no, not quite complex. This just copy paste. So I'm just copy pasting, and I this is an ideal voltage source. So I'm deleting this component, which is quite disturbing. So here you can find the rotate option. So just by pressing R, you can rotate the component. So R for rotate. So by clicking R, you can rotate the component. And if you go inside, you can see a quite lot of things: configuration, signal parameters, impedance. Here you can specify the name, and I have selected as an ideal source. So the resistance is 0, the internal resistance is 0, and this is the graphical view. So here it is a single line view, and here you can check. If I give a three-phase view, you could see a three-phase thing. So I'm rotating this component. So here this component will be used as a three-phase to single-phase converter, as Anil asked. I hope you have got your thing correct, Anil. But here it is not required. We will go with the single phase itself. And signal parameters. So yeah, so here you can. So most likely you have many of you have said that you have used ETAB before that. So 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 most of you have used ETAB. So the things are actually the same. So most likely the same. The input parameters you will be entering just some other inputs of which we would get as an output. So in in ETAB you would be using the utility source. So utility is basically this source 3 type of model. This is equivalent to the utility in ETAB. So but we would be entering some positive sequence resistance and reactance sequence resistance and reactance to get the short circuit rating. But in ETAP, you directly provide the short circuit rating. So these are some of the differences between this. So in ETAP, this is equivalent to the ETAP utility in ETAP. So from here, Pradeep will proceed this session.
Yes, thank you, Raghu. Hope I'm clear and audible. Yes. So as of now, is there any clarifications up to what Raghu had thought? So let me share my screen. Yes, shall we move forward? Up to now, is there any clarifications upon creating a new file, right? How to create and merge that with the workspace? Yes, may I get some response? How to add a component? Yes, Sanjay, we are going to see. Then any other queries? Yes, okay. So we can continue. Right. So actually, this is what, so these things already explained by Raghu. So let me create a new case file for our reference. So case file itself having some, yes, please show once more. Yes, Mr. Das. So here comes the actual dashboard, how it looks like actually. So upon installing and opening, your PSCAD will be looking like this only. So it will consist of master library and the start page. So in the start page, you will be getting updates regarding PSCAD, right? What are the new updates and everything. So upon creating all the files or everything like a basic MATLAB, it will be nearly equivalent to MATLAB dashboard only. So file, upon clicking the file, you will be getting a new option here, right? In the new, so namespace itself, it's having some constraints, right? Like, so for example, let me enter a dollar symbol and creating case like that. If I'm creating means, so it will show some error, right? So how the file should be named itself, it's having some rules for PSCAD. So starting character must be alphabetic, remaining characters alphanumeric plus underscore. So only underscore to be used in between for creating the cases, and your characters must not exceed 30 characters, and your name must not exceed 30 characters, right? So like using special characters and leaving space and hyphen everything will result in error, right? So new files means actually the case file what Raghu has created now. Then what is remaining? There are two cases here: new library and new workspace. So library means, so what is meant by library file? For example, if you are performing git complaint study, so in the upcoming sessions we are going to do that only. So upon performing git complaint study, right? The original, that is the OEM or else the manufacturer will be sending the inverter data, right? So those inverters are complicated in design and everything. And usually the OEMs won't share the details of the how the inverter has been made. So they will be creating, how to say, a equivalent model in for PSCAD, and that model will be shared to us, right? We will be incorporating that model to our existing SLD, right? In that case, So those files are named as library files. So the files that will be shared by the client or OEM, or else we also can create some library files. For example, on transmission line, if I'm modeling, right, that transmission line, I'm going to use that in many projects, like, right, for one project, for another project, for another project. If I'm going to use the same transmission line model, only the length alone differs means, so that time we can convert the transmission line into the library file, and we can use that library file for all the projects, right? The new workspace means, right? So many of have said that already you have worked in ETAP, right? ETAP Excel. So in ETAP, what you will do is for creating several cases, you will create scenario, right? So upon creating scenario, you will be running nearly up to, in case, for example, I'm saying 14 cases are there means, so in the each scenario, you will determine what should be changed. Like that, you will be you will be entering and you will be performing. But here, for each and every cases, you want to create one new case file, right? Let me show. Module and library are the same. Which module, Chinmaya? So library means different, module means, so I can't get you. So reframe your question. So first let me create one case. For example, I'm creating case one. So I haven't leave any spaces, or else if I want any spaces means you should use underscore option only. So other than like using hyphen or equal to anything is not accepted by PSCAD. So for example, I'm creating case one, new case file. So I'm creating in, I had already created some folder for today's session. So day one, I had selected the folder. So now I'm creating the case file. For here, there is option called create, right? So upon creating, it will appear like this. So start page is not necessary. So you can close this. For closing that, if you place here, there will be an into mark, right? So upon clicking this, it will be getting closed. So the remaining, see the our workspace is quite little bit very short, right? So for making it little bit bigger, so you can use this pin option. So this pin option is actually auto hide. So wherever it is appearing, just click, right? So upon clicking, your workspace will be getting bigger than the previous size, right? So module means a black box, I'm saying, yes. So that black box itself, they will be sharing us. So sometimes they will be sharing us black box file. So sometimes they will be sharing the like this library file also they will be sharing. So black box folder means black box. If they are sharing means we can directly add. See here in the workspace, in the case. So in this resources we can add that black box file directly. In case if they share as library file means, so from that library we should bring that component to the our already existing SLD. So those things, yeah, like usually for grid components, even if it is a wind farm or also solar farm, right? The inverter models usually will be shared by OEM only. That PSCAD equivalent PSCAD model. Right? We will go into that dive deep, but here comes the basic. So we are not going those things, right? So then open. So before that, that application options. So in the applications options, the dependencies like this PSCAD environment will be using the compilers, right? Different compilers for converging the solution, right? Usually, the basic what you will get is by default G Fortran 4.6.2, G Fortran 8.1, and 8.1, right? So 64-bit. So what 64 for both 32-bit and 64-bit, you will be getting 8.1. This internal Intel compiler should be installed externally and that should be incorporated with PSCAD, right? For why? Because why compiler is necessary here means, so all the OEM will be sharing mostly with Intel compiler only. So whatever the model we are receiving from the clients or OEM, so we will be getting that that model will be developed under the Interfortran compiler. So that compiler, the same compiler what they had modeled only, we also want to use in our PSCAD, right? Compiler version is showing empty for me, Sanjay. Okay, probably there will be some error in installation. Why? Because the installation process will be itself will automatically install the compilers, right? So as you have seen now, so master library, you should not change, not should, you must not change any element and their already existing data here. So if I want to model the elements, right? For example, the basic source in ETAP, you will be modeling as a utility grid now. So the grid itself, there will be having different types of grid, right? So these things we will be discussing, like source modeling, everything will be discussing in the future. For just example, for as of now, I'm copying this. Why? Because this is ideal source. So you can all the basic operations like Control C, Control X, Control V will work here also, right? So you should not modify. Like and upon double click, you can see the signal parameters, frequency, everything. But this is the master library is not the place for changing the already existing data. So you should copy that, right? So I'm copying and paste in the workspace, the case file what I had created now. So let me use paste. So there are paste special something, so we can discuss in the upcoming. So far basic. So pasting here in the workspace only, we are going to perform all the simulations, right? Like we will be creating the SLD. And another important point in PSCAD is, so like ETAP, so will anyone quickly summarize? So how you will model an element in ETAP? So any element, like for example, consider transmission line. So those who have worked in ETAP, just quickly summarize within. So how you can model, how you will model transmission line in ETAP. Yes, AC toolbar pi model by giving RXB value. Yes, yes, by giving RXB value only. And in simplification for how we will model is just select that transmission line component. You are going to select the conductor, right? So phase conductor from the library and the ground wire conductor from the library. In case if you are existing, right, what you are having, that corresponding element, if it is not available in the library means, you will develop your own library and you will develop your own model and you will be included in that, right? And you will be entering the length, the RXB parameters will be automatically calculated, right? Upon modeling that, that is enough for running a simulation in ETAP. But in PSCAD, whatever the element you are modeling, right? For each model, you need validation, right? Here, modeling plus validation, right? So what is meant by validation means, so for example, if I'm modeling the source, right, with a source in the sense I'm saying the grid, right? So for example, my grid is having 20 kiloampere short circuit ratio, right? 20 kiloampere short circuit current. So when the fault occurred, my grid should contribute the 20 kiloampere. So that I should validate. So in case if I model that source in my PSCAD means, so these things we are going to see in the future. So that like for each and every, for all the cases, for each component, different parameters to be validated. For example, transmission line and cable means RXP. Surge arrestor means the energy capability, right? So like that for each and every component, we should validate something. So then only we should place that component in our main SLD. So for that validation purpose, we should create another file, right? In that file, we should do some validations, everything. And if the model is validated and it is perfect for use, then only we should copying that file and we can place it here. Yes, Gautam, how to create custom user library in PSCAD you're asking? Yes. So here, whatever the things you are modeling is depending upon our, how to say, if you are having the data means you are the one going to model the entire system. For example, grid, if you are having data, transmission line, cable, everything if you are having means, so for the same data what you are having, we will be modeling here in detail on comparing with the ETAP or Dixelant. Here we will be modeling in detail. So whatever the model you are creating here is a custom user library only. So this is actually case one. So let me create another case. So to show how this new workspace works, right? So let me create case two. So upon entering, just pressing, I'm pressing create here. Yes, now there are two cases here, right? Case one and case two, right? Here, there is one option called workspace. Let me pin this. So here, see here, these two case files are appearing here, right? So here it is showing something called untitled, right? So let me save this. So this untitled is known as the workspace for merging all these cases as a single file. For example, first let me show save. So I'm clicking the default location. So like here I can give day one, sorry, exclamatory, will not accept. Day one, yes, and I'm saving. So now let me go to this folder's location, right? So see, here comes the folder location. So day one. Yes, let me save these two cases also. So it is not appearing there. Yes, see here. So that dot .pscx file is the case file what we have created. So it will be in the format of PSCX. So upon seeing the PSCX file, you can judge that. So this is the case file, right? Case one. That PSMX is the integrated file which will be automatically created upon creating a new case, right? We cannot open this file and explore. So in simple terms, integrated, how to say means a supporting file for running the case file. Then this is the case two, PSCX, and once again the supporting file of PSMX. Then see here day one dot PSWX, right? So this PSWX will be representing the workspace. For example, let me show here. Let me save everything and close the PSCAD. Let me open new. Okay. So once again, it not, so now let me just open this case one alone. See here. So upon clicking this case one alone, so see my case one alone is getting opened here. So upon clicking on the case one, my case one alone getting open. So for instead of closing everything, so we can unload from my workspace itself. See here, upon clicking this case one, there is option called unload, right? So upon clicking unload, your the case file which was loaded now will be getting unloaded, right? So now I'm clicking case two means, so it will be separately opening, not colliding with See here. Now case 2 alone getting opened separately, right? In case 2 actually we haven't modeled anything. But upon clicking this workspace file, see this workspace file, if I'm already I had combined these two cases under this workspace, right? So now I'm clicking this workspace file. Yes. See, now I had just opened that workspace file. So now my both the cases had appeared here, right? So for just two cases, there is no problem. So for a kind of power quality and all the studies we are going to perform in the future for git compilance, so nearly 17 to 18 different cases will be there, right? So at that time, instead of searching that entire file and opening each case continuously, so we can use this workspace file. So combining all those cases under this workspace and we can open. Yes, let me. Do we have where we have to use ideal low textures? So in the transformer modeling, so there are some specific cases where we should use the entire detailed modeling and where we should use ideal source for PSCAD. So those things in the future we can continue installing. This workspace name is kind of project name. No, no, workspace is, so now you will be clear Gokula Krishnan, right? Why ETAP logo here? So ETAP logo, so this is actually the, we are using licensed version. So licensed version itself, ETAP also having some part of PSCAD, right? So both are same only. Licensed version will be having both PSCAD and ETAP logo also. After creating workspace, do we have to press consolidate to combine both cases? No need. So upon creating the workspace, if you are saving that workspace means, so that alone enough. So automatically the entire cases, though, see here. So for now, there are only two cases in my workspace, right? So upon clicking and saving this, how many cases? So totally there are two cases. These two cases will automatically combine under this day one. You can see the flow map also. So this day one will be consisting case one and case two. So if you're having several cases, nearly 10, and if you are saving as a workspace means all the 10 files will be combining under this workspace. This workspace file is just an option to load all the associated case files. It actually does not store the cases. We have to save cases individually. Am I right? Yes, Gaurav, but upon closing the file itself, right, you will be asking like want to save the case or to not to save the case, right? But this also okay only. We want to save each and every case. Why? Because in case one, for example, I'm saying for case one, you are performing LG fault. Just for example, I'm saying for case two, you are performing LLG fault means, so that change will be made in that case one and case two, right? In case one, you can give at ABC fault, right? Symmetrical fault. In case B, I mean case two, you can give a single line to ground fault, SLG. So at the time, you want to save each file. Okay, okay, thanks. What is the difference between workspace and the projects? Yes, just now I had said no, Sanjay. So workspace means combining all the cases under one group, right? So day one, day two, for example, I'm creating many cases and I have modeled the different elements here. So master library, there are various elements here actually. Passive elements, sources, miscellaneous, IO devices, breaker and false, HVDC facts, transformers, machines, right? Import, transmission lines, cables. So in PSCAD, you will be having all those components in right hand side corner, right? Right hand side completely. So here we should copy and paste all those elements from master library to our case file, right? You should not do any other operations other than copying, right? You should not use control X everything. Just you should copy and paste in the workspace. Can we have multiple workspace open at a time with their cases? No, no, it is not possible, Gaurav. So at one time, it will be opening only one workspace. For example, one workspace is having five case files means, so you can open only one workspace at a time. So if you want to open another means, you want to save all those things and you want to close. After that, you can open another multiple workspace. Yes, Aman Gautam. So component wizard and black box are extremely higher end topics, right? But in this session, many beginners are also there. This component wizard surely we can see, like Selva said already, previous Git components also has got enabled, right? So far we are going to see them in upcoming sessions like transmission line, cable. For everything, we will be modeling them as the component wizard only. But this session is dedicatedly for beginners, right? Those who haven't touched PSCAD and those who are unaware of the tools and how to open everything. So surely we will cover component wizard and black box. Why? Because upon knowing the component wizard, so you know the TDS process also, right? Modeling of component wizard. So we will be coming in future. So then home is containing right the basic options, right? Build means so before running the simulation, you will use a build option. So build option means before running itself, in case if there is any error, any data is missed means it will show. So what error in so where we should see the error and everything means so in the down there is called a option called build messages, right? So this build messages will be showing all the error and the warnings and normal messages. So everything our build messages will be showing here, right? So here we will be checking in case any error is there also means in this build messages only we will be seeing. So what error, where it is, right? So then run for like ETAP is having different modes, right? For load flow means a separate component, short circuit means separate component, right? LV protection means a separate component, arc flash means separate component for running. But in PSCAD, only one run component, right? So for whatever may be the study you are performing, like steady state, you are performing load flow, short circuit. So here also protection coordination can be done, right? In the master library, uh, you can see the protection, right? So different relays are there here. See, 51, 87. So all the protection also can be done in PSCAD. So whatever may be the study you are performing, so you can using this run option only. Grid compliance, insulation coordination, TOV, SOV, SFO, HVRT, LVRT, power quality, right? So these are the cases we are going to simulate in our grid compliance. So only one run option. There is no dedicatively separate run options for separate study. And remaining, you might be aware. Stopping means stopping the simulation. Passing means passing the simulation. And the save scenario. Scenario also we can see in the upcoming. And this back, up, forward. So what these represent means, for example, in the master library itself, so it is appearing like just a box. If you want to access all the elements in passive elements, you want to go in, right? By pressing this arrow. Upon double clicking, you can go inside this passive elements tab. So if you want to come back means, see now this option is getting enabled, right? Back and up. So upon clicking back, you will be coming back to its like how our file explorer in our lab works, the same procedure only. So if you have gone to different tabs means, so upon clicking back, it will be come back from its own tab. So upon clicking back means, so from where you have left at the last tab, where you have left, it will take you back to that tab, right? So then remaining undo and redo. So the pan option, select search. The wire mode is the one which is using to connect elements in our PSCAD. We can see that also, the basic options. Yes. So solution time step, you might be aware, right? So if I'm entering here as 15 minutes for E for this entire duration, for me example, let me enter 5 seconds. So now my simulation will run for 5 seconds. So in this complete 5 seconds, right? For each 50 microseconds, right? The calculation and the solution will be done and it will be stored as a data, right? Channel plot step means so we can upon creating the so how to look the graphs and everything. So that will comes under channel. So we can follow that also upon in the far in the upcoming sessions, right? So like for rotating this upon selecting, you can just press R. Like let me complete with this for today. So you want to write connect a bus bar, no? So those bus bar and everything. So these components we will come across later. Why? Because these are the extreme components. Mm. So bus bar also I had now taken to the workspace. So I want to rotate. Yes. And we can increase the length also. So now connecting this bus bar having two options, right? One, we can connect directly the source to the bus bar like this, right? Or else another one option using this wire mode, right? So wire mode means in ETAP itself, you will be connecting this element to this element, right? So the same only wire mode upon clicking this pencil mark will appear. So right click for starting, right? Sorry, left click for starting and right click for finishing this, right? This wire mode. So after that also this pencil mark will appear and it will continue wherever you go. To stopping this, you can press escape, right? So this wire mode is nothing but just a connecting component which will not have any resistance, reactance, impedance or anything. So it will just connect two elements, right? So like so it should use it for very nearer connections only. For example, if my component and my transmission line is connecting 10 kilometers, so instead of that, if you are connecting that transmission line with this wire mode means it will not show any impact. So we should model a detailed transmission line in that case, right? This wire mode is for just basic connection of two elements, right? This is actually the source. This is actually the bus bar. So here how we are concluding today. So far you have learned some basics, how to open, how to create MATLAB, sorry, PSCAD. So in case if installation having some error, so reach out to our installation team. Already Selva had shared that number. So now also we can share that number in our Git compliance group itself. So up to now, is there any doubt? So if it is clear means we can conclude for today. Yes. Is there any questions? Yes, Mr. Stalin, a recording will be available to you, but not in the Git compliance tab. As a separate course, as morning our admin has created a separate for a PSCAD by basics. So this video will be uploaded to that course. Yes, thank you. So yes, if you have learned something new today, let me stop sharing.